Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party and my buddy Rhett. We're here gonna do some code. It is 8:18 a.m. on Wednesday here in Marietta, Georgia. It's like literally like 60 degrees outside. It is absolutely beautiful, but it is supposed to start raining, light rain soon, and it is a bit cloudy. So we will see. Now, a lot of times when there's going to be heavy rain coming in, I get a very bad headache until the rain starts. And then as soon, a minute, literally 60 seconds to 90 seconds after the rain, my headache goes away. People tell me it's because of barometric pressure. Um, that makes a lot of sense. A lot of times people used to say, "Oh, it's because of pollen, because the rain knocks down the pollen, so the pollen's out of there." But the problem is I'm inside, so that didn't make any sense at all. But anyways, last time we made massive step forward with our. We've got three new services. We've got a geometry service, a mesh service, and material service. And so I guess it makes sense now to move forward. And so before we started at the renderer and we are kind of working our way down, which I think made a lot of sense. But we did end up having like a lot of like back circling back and fixing things as we went back, because it'd be like, oh no, this should be there, and no, that should be there, and all that. But now we've sort of settled down into a pretty good pattern. So I guess it makes sense. The problem with kind of going up to down is a lot of times you have dependencies on below. So maybe it makes more sense to start at the bottom now. So at the bottom we have two things. So basically the hierarchy is we have a mesh, and a mesh has a material, and a mesh has a geometry. And that material and geometry is what makes up what you see. So with our mat, so it seems like, so the hierarchy is the mesh is on top, material and geometry is below. Now geometry I think is a little bit more complicated than material, at least at this stage in our development. So now I do think material, I think that whenever you're in ThreeJS you have like a picture, like when you want to put a picture on and stuff like that, I think that falls under material too. So I think material could get more complex, especially around like uploads and stuff like that. And I really don't even know how I'm going to do that with um, um, what am I trying to say here? With images and stuff. Like if I want to be able to create a scene that has like some images, like photos and stuff in there, JPEGs or PNGs or whatever it is they use, they need to be uploaded. And I don't know if that would need to be like a whole zip or something, like a zip file that you upload that has that then the JavaScript somehow knows how to break down into its individual components and all that, so that you can have a scene. I don't know. That'll be a very interesting thing, and it'll be interesting to see at that point, to see like let's say that's where we're at in a year. If it's just like, oh crap, I should have built this, the architecture, this will not support this, and we need to start all over. That would not be surprise me. That would not surprise me if that new functionality, when we try to add that functionality, it causes some kind of problem that then causes this whole application to make more sense to start from scratch on this application. And if that happens, which I think is very, very possible, we'll have to start from scratch again. And there's just no way for me to predict what those things are. And that's probably why it makes sense to, like, if an organization is trying to hire programmers, to hire people that have done something very, very close to what you need done before, or exactly what you need done before. Because you just can't predict what you can't predict. You don't know what you don't know. And this is and then it's very possible as a developer to do a bunch of stuff and not know anything afterwards, right? You just like kind of struggle bust through everything, and then at the end you're like, I don't even know what all the pieces were. That's always one of the big challenges, is because once you know what you're doing, something that would have taken you 2 days will take you 10 minutes. And then a lot of times management can't understand why everything doesn't take 10 minutes. And then a lot of times you don't understand as a developer, oh, I already did this once. This exact same thing, very similar to this, but it only took me a half a day. But now that I'm looking at it, I think it might take me 3 days because you don't really remember like maybe the overarching thing that you did. You kind of remember all the individual pieces. It's complicated. Software development is very, very complicated. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get started on the material service. So we are going to emulate other services. So we have to look at this and say, okay, which one's probably the closest? And it's probably scene. So let's go ahead and go to the scene, and we'll kind of do what we did before. And we'll just sort of go through and say, all right, do we need line one? We probably do. We probably already have injectable, but we don't probably have inject. Where is injectable used? I'm actually very curious about this. Oh, okay, so that's used as a decorator right at the front. Where is inject? So we probably already have that one, but we probably do not have inject yet because we have not injected anything, and we're going to need to be able to inject this. And we probably should just grab the second one too, and then we know we're going to need to bring in the 3 version of this of the material service. So let's go ahead and grab that. And then we know we're going to need to get our interface, our ST material. So let's go ahead and let's just paste all that. And since we're at the same level, like hierarchically, all the imports are going to work. If we were at a different level, which you will often see, your imports won't work. Okay, but we don't want scene service. We want material service, which is empty right now. And material. And let's just get a little help there. Material service. And that kind of validates that I'm on the right track. And then we want our ST material, not ST. Let's see. All right, so that worked out. That's a good fill-in. Enjoy the endorphins. Good job. Now, all right, so now, as you can tell, doing this sort of boilerplate copy paste is not mentally stimulating, but it is sort of a sign that you are settling into a nice pattern that makes sense. Okay, so we know we need this, and we know we need a dictionary, and we know we need to actually inject our material service. So let's go ahead and copy that over. If I remember correctly, we can kind of do this for a little while, and then what'll happen is we'll need to actually implement the 3 material version, and that's and it's good. It's good that I just remember that. Like, yep, that's what we need to do because we've already been down this path. I love to tell this story about when I was a kid. I used to live in this town called Edgewood, New Mexico, and let's go back over here. I'll continue that in a second. We are working between scene service and material service, and now we've sort of set up this upper region. Okay, so we need a function that's along the lines of create base scene, but we want to create that and then get scene by ID. If I remember correctly, we can actually implement get scene ID, get material by ID. So I lived in this town called Edgewood, New Mexico, and Edgewood, New Mexico. Okay, so the mountain was to the west. So north of us was this this little town called Cedar something, Cedar Springs maybe, and it was at the base of this pretty neat mountain. So we're going to change that to material by ID. It's going to return an empty material, an ST material. And we would climb. We would try to climb to the top of it, and every once in a while we'd get to the top of it. So we drive. It was about 15 miles north of us, so we would drive over there when we were like 16, 17 years old, and we tried to climb to the top of that. It was fun. But there was a little private school that was at the bottom. There was a year-round school that the kids lived in, and like it would take us like 8 hours to climb to the top of this mountain, and these little kids would be up there in an hour, like kids that were like 6 years old. Like a whole group of them would go. There would be like some 17-year-olds and all that. They would take off and they'd be at the very top. And it was just like, because they knew all the little mistake we didn't understand. I mean, it was really neat because like when you'd climb up it, there would be places where there was like wild strawberries that were just absolutely delicious that you could just eat and just see all kinds of wildlife and all that. It was just a really cool experience, but these little kids could get to the top. And I was a miler. I used to run the mile in track, so I was very, very fit. There was no, I could outrun any of these kids any day of the week, but they could climb to the top of that mountain in literally an hour, and it would take maybe 2, and it would take me 8, me and my friends 8+ hours. So that's what happens, when you know what you're doing. All right, so we're going to create, this is the scene that we're going to recreate, material, and empty material, and then an empty material. So now this is the time where we go to the empty material, and there's 2 things we need to do here, and I think we would like to have semicolons. I'm going to go look at that real quick. In one of the others that I feel like is probably right, like I mentioned all the time. Oh, so I don't have, see, I feel like I did this before and I didn't, I must not have saved it. I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day right now. So I think semicolons is the direction I want to go in. And I know we want to do an a material from our a 3JS material. So let's see. I don't even remember how to do that. Let's go back to our camera and see how we did it. So it's kind of like that. And it has to be optional. So this is a reference to the actual material that's being rendered. And I don't know if... See, I bet you that's not right. Let me go look at the app that we built out as a reference. And so what I'm trying to figure out is what this should be. And I think I strongly typed it over here in the app when we go to create our material. Okay, so this was what we wanted. Mesh normal material. And we'll hit back. And back. So we have added our optional mesh normal material, and it is optional. And we know we need a type and a side. And I think we're going to, the default is the front side, so we're going to, our base will have the 3 front side. Let's just go ahead and copy that so I don't have to try to remember it. Probably should try to remember it since I really do want to kind of train my brain to remember that. So let's see, Alt right. So we want an ST type, which has to be normal, an ST side, which is normal. Type. And then we only had one choice. Normal. There we go. And then ST side. And I pasted that. Just 3. I'm not importing 3. Oh. Yeah, so that's fine. I believe that is just the number 1 or 2 or 3. So yeah, see this is, so you make all these rules and then you find out there is a exception. Import star as 3 from 3. Okay, so 3 front side. I believe this is literally just the number 0. So when we export this, it'll be a 0 in there. Now scene ID. Okay, so this is our material ID. And so we get a new ID from our generate ID service. And then three service, and it's going to be called not 3 service, material service. And we can guess that this is going to be all called create material. And then the create material, I mean the material only need, I mean the scene only needed the scene ID, and maybe the material only needs, but I don't think so. I think it's going to need the type. Yeah, it's going to need the and the side. I don't think you can do it without those things. So we're just guessing here. That might be wrong, but and the function doesn't actually exist yet. So I'm just going to comment that out because that's what I think the function is going to be. And then this actually does exist. ST material. For the 3 material. So we could not do this before. This was something that there was no way to do. And actually, I don't know. I don't think I've implemented this either. Get material by ID. Yeah, we haven't implemented anything over there, but we do know that this is going to be exactly like this. So we can write this now. Something we could not do in the last one we did, which I believe was camera, but it might have been scene. But whatever it was, ST material. Now when we do this doesn't matter at all. It could be done before, because the ST scene reference is being updated. And if that doesn't make sense, material ID. That doesn't make sense, you know, it takes a while. But basically we've created this thing here. We're going to make changes to it. So we're going to make changes to it, and whatever we change will be to the same item. So even if we were to have this line of code up on 27, which I'm not going to do just because I kind of want to stay consistent with everything else. And then material ID. Material ID. So I feel good about all that. I feel really good about it. So basically we need to in tomorrow's video, we'll implement the create material, create base material 3JS side, and then that shouldn't take very long, and maybe we'll get started on the geometry part of it. So, like the challenges of kind of working from our way down up is like there's no way to actually use this yet. So we won't know if we've made some kind of horrible mistake until we actually try to use it. That was one of the advantages on the top down, is we could see if we made mistakes. The disadvantage is we kept having to circle back and make changes. The advantage of this, which we can do now, is we probably won't have to. This is probably going to be perfectly fine. We probably won't have to modify this code at all, other than to uncomment these 2 lines. Everything should probably just work, because as we move up, all the pieces will be there. We wouldn't have to, if we had to start it up top, we would kind of have to hard code some stuff, do the lower thing, go back up top, update it to use the lower thing, and all that. So anyways, let's see. 21 minutes, that's pretty good. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.